How you doing? Who I am is not important. What I have to say is important. I know I sound like I'm in a bit of a rush just because this theory was not planned. If it sounds sloppy, it sounds like my editing, my talking is trash, everything that goes on with this video is terrible, it's because I literally just came up with this theory about half an hour ago, and I'm in a rush to make this because I want to make it as short as possible so I can get out as quick as possible, because the next few months I'm going to be very busy, so I'm not going to have any time to edit this video, so I need to edit this video in this week's time span. And I also have other things I have to do in this week's time span, so let me not fucking waste any more of your time. Let me get straight to the point. This one I literally just came up with half an hour ago when I just watched a GTLive video of MatPat reacting to ID Fantasy's video. Check both of their channels out in the description if you want to. And the reason why I'm making this theory is because they brought up something, a very good point that many people have been wondering. When does Sister Location take place? I figured it out. I know exactly when Sister Location takes place. It is after FNAF 1 and before FNAF 3. And I know you're going to want context, you're going to want answers. I got the answers for you, but if you want all the context, I'm not going to be re-explaining all the context, because all the context that I have talked about regarding this video is in this 50-minute video right here. This 50-minute video right here tells you everything you need to know in regards to what I'm about to talk about, including the likes of how I believe Help Wanted, Special Delivery, and Security Breach are all parallels and are supposed to be a retelling, a reimagining of the original FNAF game's timeline and story, as well as the origin story leading up to MCI, which MCI is supposed to be Ruined DLC, and FNAF 6 is also supposed to be Ruined DLC. So if you want to know the context behind all those parallels that I'm about to be mentioning right now in this video without any context, please check out this video. It is my best theory yet, and this theory is going to be a great follow-up to that video. Okay, let me get straight to it. So in this previous video, I mentioned something very important in terms of the parallels. I mentioned how Help Wanted, Special Delivery, and Security Breach are parallel to the original FNAF timeline. So, you know, FNAF 2 is represented by Help Wanted, and you have the bite of 87 with Jeremy and all that, his face getting cut open. You have Phone Guy and representing with Tape Girl, and then you have Vanessa playing the VR game is supposed to be representative of Mike Schmidt, aka Michael Afton, but I think he's called Mike Schmidt because, you know, he's probably adopted by a new family. You know, I don't think he's going to be still, you know, Afton's son. Especially after all the abuse, he probably got adopted, and Afton's probably a murderer, so maybe that's why he has Mike Schmidt. I don't care about that. What I do care about is what I'm about to tell you. So, obviously, Vanessa's supposed to be representative of Mike Schmidt for FNAF 1 in Help Wanted, and then you have Curse of Dreadbear, which is supposed to represent FNAF 4 Michael Afton's nightmares that he documents in the logbook. And then you have a Special Delivery, which is supposed to represent Sister Location. That is what I said in the original video. That is exactly what I mentioned. And then Security Breach is supposed to be FNAF 3, Ruined DLC FNAF 6, and then FNAF 10 is supposed to be Ultimate Custom Night. So, with that out of the way, I came up with an epiphany, which is something I feel very stupid about, because the fact that it was here the whole time and I have not seen a single person mention this once is crazy in and of itself. But I need to talk about this right now. Guys, Michael Afton is being possessed by Ennard at the end of Sister Location, right? Ennard is using Mike's skin to walk around. Have we ever considered if Ennard was the one going back to these Fazbear locations, collecting the remnant of the animatronic, the toy animatronics, and then the regular FNAF animatronics? I mean, by this point in time, the animatronics are destroyed. They're all broken down. William Afton already did that. William Afton got trapped in a spring-lock suit somewhere in the FNAF 1 location. So all Ennard would have to do, or all Mike being possessed by Ennard would have to do, is just go into the building when it's dark and go and collect all the remnant. Because one of the biggest complications I always had with this timeline, with the story in general, is the fact that a walking dead corpse just so happened to get a job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. I always thought that was really ridiculous and stupid. That doesn't make sense to me. You don't hire a corpse, you know? It's like, you don't hire Mike when he's a corpse. That doesn't make sense at all. So I think that Mike was alive when he did FNAF 1 and he went and he did that. And then after FNAF 1, after he quit or whatever the hell happened in FNAF 1, William Afton came in, swooped in, broke down all the animatronics in FNAF 1, broke them down, and then he got spring locked and he's in the FNAF 1 location. And then some time passes, Mike probably goes to the sister location for some reason. I don't know what that reason is. Probably to do with his father, because, you know, his father, they probably had some arrangements going on with the FNAF 1 location. You know, maybe he met his father there and something happened to FNAF 1. Maybe they were helping each other out, trying to destroy the animatronics, and then fucking William Afton got spring locked eventually, and Michael didn't know what happened to him, and so now Mike has gone to the house, to his house, found the sister location, some shit like that. Then you have the events of sister location. The only animatronic that we know to be possessed in the sister location is Baby. Funtime Freddy's not possessed. Laura's not possessed. Funtime Foxy's not possessed. So the MCI kids cannot be inside the Funtime animatronics because we know they were not possessed. We know that we took their discs out. We know that Circus Baby was the only sentient being because she was the voice of Ennard. And then we know that Ennard kills Mike, uses his body, walks around, and then we just kind of completely forgot about the fact that a body has to take weeks to decay. So in that time frame, Ennard could have easily went back to the Fazbear locations, collected remnant for himself, for itself, whatever the fuck it is, and then injected itself, you know, similar to how we saw in the fourth closet with Circus Baby going to the junkyard to get the FNAF 1 animatronics, brought them back so that they could use the remnant to inject into Funtime Freddy. That's exactly what happened here. Ennard, in Mike's body, goes back to the Fazbear location, gets all the broken down animatronic pieces, collects some remnant, goes over, injects it into himself, and now Ennard has the MCI remnant in it. So that explains why Circus Baby and Ennard had a little falling out, is because now the MCI kids are inside of Ennard, and that means that Circus Baby is no longer wanted, and you have that break apart, you have that split. Now they're split, and that probably happened sometime right before FNAF 3, or maybe it happened after FNAF 3, and then maybe after FNAF 3, while Mike is still being utilized and possessed by Ennard. Maybe after FNAF 3, after FNAF 3 happens, then you can have Ennard split away from Mike. And I know Ennard and Mike had to have split sometime between the FNAF 3 time period, because the parallels I made with Help Wanted, Special Delivery, and Security Breach would imply that Vanessa, who is supposed to represent Mike being possessed by Ennard, would get freed at the end of Security Breach. And if Security Breach is supposed to represent FNAF 3, that means Ennard and Mike don't split apart until around FNAF 3. So that would mean that sister location would have to take place sometime in the 2000s, the 2010s era. Sometime between then. Or maybe even like 2020. Who knows? This would explain why the sister location custom night, at the end, the cutscene was of Michael talking his monologue following the burning of Fazbear Frights. It makes perfect sense too, because Michael seems to have not remembered anything about collecting the remnant, because he was just doing the sister location thing, and then they suddenly forgot him. He set Elizabeth free, and now all of a sudden he's dead. He should be dead, but he's not, and now he's gonna go come find Afton. Which it wouldn't make sense for Michael to go find Afton in Fazbear Frights if he already found him. So why would he find him again in Pizzeria Simulator? That doesn't make sense to me. So the reason why Michael would take the volunteer for Pizzeria Simulator would be to find Afton. It would make sense because Henry realized that, wait a minute, this is a fucking walking corpse. So he probably volunteering to get something done. You know, probably kill himself. You know, it's like the whole walking corpse thing. It never made sense to me. So this would make more sense if he only showed himself revealed from the shadows by the time Pizzeria Simulator came around. This would also explain why Michael even came back to life to begin with, because if Ennard collected Remnant, then the Remnant would seep on to Michael Afton's skin, which would allow him to be alive and lively just like the Remnant would inside of the animatronic Ennard. So that is why I believe that sister location takes place way after FNAF 1 and possibly just before FNAF 3, or maybe like a few years before FNAF 3, because that body, if it's gonna decay to the point of getting purple, it's gonna take a long time. I'm done. That was all I just wanted to say. That's all I wanted to get out, was that theory. God, I hope I can get out by this weekend. Toodaloo! Arrivederci!